The grand hall of the Galactic Council was filled with 1,000 voices. Blue lights glowed softly over curved walls made of black metal. Alien leaders from across the galaxy sat in high rows, their eyes fixed on the center stage where a beam of energy began to form. The noise slowly faded. The air grew heavy. Out of that beam appeared a tall, ancient figure, not made of flesh, not made of metal, but something in between. Its body shimmered like a star seen through water. Its eyes glowed pale white. When it spoke, its voice echoed like thunder across deep space. "Council of the Galaxy," it said slowly. "You stand at the edge of a mistake." Whispers moved through the hall. Many recognized the being, the Elder from the Void. He was older than any known empire. Some said he had witnessed the birth of suns. Others claimed he had guided the first civilizations toward peace. But no one had seen him in over 1,000 cycles. A member of the council rose. He was from the Valkyrie Dominion, a proud warrior race. "Why have you come here, Elder?" he demanded. "The council needs no ancient stories." The Elder turned his gaze toward him. "You have spoken of a plan," he said softly. "A plan to bring the humans under your rule. I have come to warn you." At the mention of the word humans, laughter broke out. The hall filled with mocking voices. The humans, a small scattered species from a forgotten blue world, had little power in the galactic order. They had no seat, no fleet strong enough to stand against even a minor empire. One alien diplomat leaned toward another and whispered, "He warns us of primitives?" The Elder's voice rose. "You laugh," he said, "as they once laughed before the fires came." The council chamber fell silent again. Every being felt a strange chill. The Elder lifted one hand and a hologram filled the air, an image of Earth glowing blue and green. Around it appeared scenes from ancient times, humans fighting wars, building cities, sending ships into the void. The images changed. Soldiers standing in the mud of old battlefields, astronauts walking among the stars, fleets made of metal and fire rising from orbit. "They were born from struggle," the Elder said. "Every storm made them stronger. Every failure taught them how to endure. They do not fear pain. They do not fear death. They have faced extinction and rebuilt themselves from dust." An insect-like delegate hissed, "But they are violent. They destroy their own world." The Elder nodded. "Yes," he said, "and that is what you do not understand. Violence is not their curse. It is their teacher. When their world burns, they learn to control the flame. When they lose everything, they learn to survive with nothing. That is why they are dangerous." Another voice shouted from the hall. "They are nothing compared to the council fleets." The Elder turned and his eyes glowed brighter. "Your fleets?" he asked quietly. "You think weapons make you strong? You measure power in ships and energy beams. They measure it in will, and will cannot be destroyed." The room went silent. The lights flickered for a moment. A few delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Elder stepped closer to the council podium. His voice grew cold and slow. "I have seen them fight creatures from beyond the stars. I have seen them stand against darkness itself. Even when their bodies were broken, their minds refused to die." He paused, letting the silence stretch. "You call them primitive. I call them inevitable." The Valkyrie delegate rose again, angry now. "You dare speak of inevitability before the council? Humanity is one world, one race." The Elder looked at him calmly. "Then pray they stay on that one world, for if they ever rise together, not one empire in this chamber will remain." A low hum filled the hall. No one laughed anymore. The younger species looked uncertain. The older ones remembered rumors, stories of lost fleets that vanished near Sol system. Finally, the Elder turned his gaze upward toward the great dome of stars above. "They do not seek conquest," he said quietly, "but provoke them, and you will awaken something you cannot control. I tell you this not as a threat, but as a mercy." The Elder's form began to fade. His final words echoed like a ghostly whisper through the chamber. "Never challenge humanity, for they were forged in extinction." And then he was gone, leaving the council in silence, each delegate staring at the empty space where he had stood, and for the first time in centuries, they felt fear. The council chamber remained heavy with silence long after the Elder from the void disappeared. No one spoke. The glowing screens above still showed the fading hologram of Earth, spinning slowly in the air. The image of that small blue world seemed almost harmless. Peaceful oceans, white clouds, green lands. Yet the elders' warning still echoed in their minds like a curse. Never challenge humanity. Finally, one of the younger counselors, a silver-skinned being named Lorath, broke the silence. "Ancient fear," he said, forcing a smile. "He speaks in riddles. Humanity is weak. We have records of their wars, their divisions, their ignorance. How could such chaos be dangerous?" An older council member from the cold world of Zern turned her glowing eyes toward him. "He was not speaking of who they are now," she said softly. "He was speaking of what they become when tested." To prove the elder wrong, the council called for the archives. Across the chamber, glowing holographic panels opened, showing the long history of Earth. Wars, disasters, plagues, civil conflicts. Time after time, humanity fell and rose again. The images scrolled fast, from ancient swords to nuclear fire, from space shuttles to starships. The council watched in disbelief. The humans did not grow weaker through their wars. Each one made them stronger, faster, more determined. The elder's words came back to one of the delegates. They evolved through pain. Centuries earlier, before the Galactic Council even existed, the elder had witnessed something that no one else remembered: the Age of Fire. The memory replayed inside the council's holoscreens, recorded in the elder's archives. It showed the humans during their darkest century. Cities turned to ash. The sky filled with smoke. Nations destroyed themselves with fire and radiation. Billions died, and yet, within a few generations, they began again. In the ruins of what was once civilization, human hands rebuilt homes, machines, and cities. From broken steel, they made stronger alloys. From the ashes of war, they built unity. An alien observer's voice echoed through the old footage. "Their planet burns, and still they build." Even when the oceans rose and storms swallowed continents, humanity adapted. They learned to live under domes, to mine the seafloor, to reach for orbit again. Their bodies changed. Their minds grew sharper. What shocked the elder most in those days was not their technology. It was their will. When other species would have fallen into extinction, the humans became something else. They were driven by a strange hunger to understand, to survive, to push forward no matter the cost. The elder's logs described one final scene from that ancient time: a young human child standing in the ruins of a burned city, holding a piece of melted glass, staring up at the stars. She whispered, "We'll reach you one day." The elder had remembered that voice for thousands of years. Back in the present, the council continued to study the data. Every time they thought humanity had reached its limit, they found another moment where they broke it. One delegate finally said what many were thinking: "They are not advanced, but they are relentless," the Valkyrie general laughed. "Relentless, perhaps, but even the fiercest beasts die when faced with the void. They have no faster-than-light travel, no energy weapons, no fleets." The council began to calm again. Logic replaced fear. The elder's words were starting to sound like ancient superstition. But then a strange message appeared on the main holoscreen, an encrypted data packet that no council system had authorized. The language was Old Terran English. The translation flickered. "You are watching us again." A cold shiver ran through the hall. The council technicians scrambled to locate the source, but the signal had no trace, no origin point. It had simply appeared inside their own network. The Valkyrie general frowned. "A trick," he said. "A coincidence." But the message glowed brighter. Another line appeared below it. "We warned you before." The council panicked. Communication experts worked to decode the interference. But the elder's image briefly flashed again, his eyes calm, sad, almost pitying. "This is what I tried to tell you," he whispered through the static. "They remember. Even when you forget, they remember everything." The signal cut out. The hall went dark. Somewhere far beyond the council's reach, deep in the shadow between stars, human satellites stirred awake. Their sensors flickered. Old protocols from the forgotten Age of Fire activated again. On Earth, a deep space observatory received a faint signal, an old pattern from before first contact. The scientists who found it looked at one another, puzzled. "It's a warning code," one said quietly. The other frowned. "From who?" No one could answer. But the humans felt something ancient move in the back of their collective memory, an instinct older than civilization itself. Something that whispered, "They're watching again." And far across the galaxy, in the cold heart of the council, The elder's final words replayed through the silence like a haunting echo. They were born in fire, and in fire they will rise again. The council could not sleep. Every race in the chamber left that night with the same uneasy thought. The elder's warning was too vivid, too specific. His words followed them like a shadow. They remember. Even when you forget, they remember everything. Within the following weeks, the great empires of the galaxy began whispering in private. Fear turned into curiosity. Curiosity turned into arrogance. And arrogance, as always, demanded proof. The Valkyrie Dominion, proud and war-born, proposed a test. "We will not attack Earth," their general said, "but we will observe them. We will see if these myths hold truth." The council hesitated. The elders' presence still lingered in their memories. But reason won over caution. Observation could do no harm. Or so they thought. 3 small reconnaissance probes were launched. Silent, invisible, cloaked with the most advanced stealth technology in the galaxy. They would enter Earth's orbit, gather data, and leave without a trace. It was routine. A harmless scientific experiment. The Valkyrie general smirked during the launch. If the elders' stories are true, then humans will never know we were there. But the first sign of wrongness came only hours later. The first probe entered Earth's orbit smoothly. Cameras activated. Data began to stream back to the council hub. Cloud cover, temperature, human cities, it was all there. The probe adjusted its sensors for closer inspection. It zoomed in on a cluster of human satellites. Then, static. The feed cut out. All sensors went dark. A heartbeat later, a single signal returned to the council's receiver. Connection terminated by unknown source. The general frowned. "Technical failure," he muttered. A second probe was dispatched. It stayed further from orbit, staying in high altitude, just beyond radar detection. For 6 hours it transmitted normally. Then its navigation system began to spin. The telemetry log recorded the final seconds. 13:02:12. Orientation stable. 13:02:13. External frequency interference detected. 13:02:15. Override signal received. 13:02:16. New command, descend. 13:02:17. Crewless craft now under foreign control, and then silence again. The council reconvened. Some were amused, others uneasy. "So they jammed a probe," one delegate said. "That doesn't prove anything. Perhaps they detected the emissions." But the elders' warning kept echoing in a few older minds. Still, the Valkyrie refused to back down. "We will send one more," their general said. "This time directly over their north continent. If they notice, then we'll have proof." The final probe entered orbit 2 days later. It remained cloaked, unseen by all known detection systems. For 30 minutes it drifted silently above the blue planet. Then, without warning, its visual feed turned black. Not static, just black. A voice came through instead. A human voice. Calm. Cold. "Stop watching us." The words were clear, direct, and impossible. The transmission was coming from the probe itself. The control team panicked. Engineers checked their systems, but the signal was not on any known frequency. The human voice spoke again. "You have forgotten. We have not." Then the feed ended. The probe was gone. No explosion, no trace. Just gone, as if erased from existence. When the council gathered once more, tension filled the air. Even the arrogant Valkyrie general looked uneasy now. "This must be a trick," he said loudly. "A recording. Perhaps old Earth transmissions intercepted by coincidence." But a calm, deep voice from the back of the chamber spoke. It was the elder, appearing once more, his light dimmer this time, his form flickering like dying starlight. "You were warned," he said. "You thought you could test them. Now they are awake again." The hall fell silent. "What does that mean?" demanded a council speaker. "Awake? They are primitive. They cannot even reach the stars." The elder looked upward. His voice grew almost sorrowful. You think stars are what make them powerful, but you have never understood them. Humans are not awake when they build fleets. They are awake when they are challenged. That night, strange phenomena spread across the Council's communication network. Unknown signals began appearing, faint pings in old Terran code, encrypted using systems no one had seen for centuries. It began in one sector, then 2, then 12. The signals were short, always the same phrase, repeating in various human languages. We see you. Some thought it was sabotage, others suspected ancient AIs, but the elder simply watched. One young council member approached him and asked, "If this is true, how? How could they reach us? Their planet is thousands of light years away." The elder turned to her slowly. Because they were never only on that planet. The words struck like thunder. The hall erupted with questions, disbelief, panic. The elder continued. When their world burned during the Age of Fire, not all stayed. Some left, quietly, without telling anyone. They used ships built in secret, powered by things your science still fears to name. He raised his hand and the lights dimmed. A map of the galaxy appeared, dots scattered far beyond the Council's borders. Each dot glowed faint blue. These, the elder said, are their listening posts, forgotten by time, hidden in the dark between stars. They have been waiting, listening for centuries. A silence deeper than space filled the room. "Why?" asked one trembling diplomat. The elder's voice was a whisper now. Because they knew this day would come. They knew one day someone would provoke them again. At that very moment, far beyond the Council's sensors, a human deep space station awakened after 300 years of silence. Inside, old machines hummed to life. Data logs scrolled across dusty screens. One final message blinked on a cracked display. Council activity detected. Protocol. Observe. Prepare. Outside the station, a massive shadow moved through the void, silent, untraceable, unseen. Its hull carried no markings, no light, only a symbol etched in ancient metal. "Eat be back in the council hall." The elder faded once more into mist. His final words before vanishing were barely a whisper. "The experiment is over. Now they are watching you." And for the first time in its long history, the Galactic Council adjourned in complete silence, because every one of them felt the same thing. Someone, somewhere, was staring back. The council chamber had never been so quiet. The golden lights that once symbolized galactic order now flickered with unease. Every delegate, every species, every empire sat in wordless fear, watching the fading hologram of the elder vanish into mist once again. But long after he disappeared, his last words still echoed in their minds. "The experiment is over. Now they are watching you." For days, panic gripped the galaxy. The great communication hubs of the Council received strange pulses, small, precise, rhythmic. No pattern known to their scientists matched the sequence. No origin could be traced. Some claimed it was static. Others whispered that it was them. The Council's chairwoman, a crystalline being named Seraphil, tried to restore calm. "We cannot allow myth to dictate policy," she said. "We must investigate these anomalies with logic, not fear." But her voice trembled when she said it. Even she could feel it, the sense of being observed by something far beyond understanding. The Valkyrie Dominion, proud and defiant, refused to live in uncertainty. Their generals gathered in orbit around their homeworld, assembling one of the largest fleets ever built, hundreds of warships lined in perfect formation. Their flagship, the Harbinger of Dawn, glowed under artificial sunlight. General Korvan addressed his commanders through the fleet network. "We will not bow to ghosts," he said. "If the humans are truly awake, we will find them and remind them of their place." The fleet activated its quantum scanners and began sweeping nearby systems for traces of human presence. For weeks, they found nothing. Empty signals. Silent void. Then one day a single word appeared on every ship's sensor feed. "Detected." The crew panicked. The fleet's encryption was unbreakable. No known species could hack it. Yet the word was displayed in perfect galactic standard, as if written by someone inside their system. "Is this a drill?" one officer asked. Before the general could answer, the stars themselves seemed to flicker. One by one, the fleet's lights dimmed. Not from power loss, but from interference. The darkness that followed was not just the absence of light. It was as if space itself had swallowed the fleet. Back at the council, emergency alerts blazed across every screen. The Valkyrie fleet had gone completely silent. No transmissions, no distress calls, just nothing. The council called for the elder, but he did not appear this time. His presence had vanished as if even he feared what was coming. A trembling aide approached the chairwoman. "Madam, long-range sensors detected shadows," he said softly. "Shadows?" she repeated. "Yes. Not ships. Voids. Absences of energy. Areas where even light curves and disappears. They're moving through council space." The hall erupted. Cloaked ships? Black holes? Weapon tests? Theories clashed, but none made sense. Nothing could move that fast, that silent, that perfectly invisible. Then the feed from a distant outpost came through. A small mining station on the edge of known space had recorded something. The footage was grainy but clear enough. For 5 seconds before the signal died, the camera captured shapes. Massive, angular, and moving without sound. Not reflecting light. Not emitting heat. Just there for a moment, then gone. Each ship bore the same insignia. HFY, the words beneath it. Written in Old Terran Latin read, Ex homines. Fortitudo yields. From humanity strength prevails. Fear spread like wildfire. Every world that had mocked the elder now trembled. The silent fleet, as it came to be called, became a ghost story overnight. Merchants claimed to see shadows following their freighters. Soldiers reported voices in static channels whispering coordinates that led nowhere. The council's scientists tried to explain it. Stealth technology, advanced cloaking, sensor manipulation, but deep down, everyone knew this was something beyond their understanding. In a desperate move, the council dispatched a neutral investigation vessel, the Solara. Its mission, to make contact or at least confirm what the fleet had become. For days, the Solara traveled through the void, guided by faint energy trails left behind by the missing Valkyrie ships. Then, on the 10th day, its crew saw something that made their blood run cold. Out ahead, floating in the dark, were the remains of the Valkyrie fleet. But they were not destroyed, they were empty. No signs of battle, no debris. The ships were intact, silent, and dead. The Solara's captain sent a drone to investigate. As it neared the lead battleship, its sensors picked up faint electromagnetic pulses. Morse code, ancient and forgotten. The translation appeared on the crew's display. "We warned you. Leave us be." Before anyone could react, the Solara's systems shut down. Every light, every engine, every circuit went black. Through the viewport, the crew saw movement. Shadows drifting closer, forming a circle around them. One of the shapes came near enough to glimpse, sleek, metallic, unlike any known design. Its hull reflected nothing, as though it absorbed reality itself. Then a voice filled the ship's speakers. Calm. Human. You shouldn't have come. The transmission ended. Power returned. The Solara was alone again. No trace of movement. No explanation. Just deep, endless space. When the Solara finally limped back to council space, the captain refused to speak. He simply handed over the flight recorder and resigned. The report he left behind had only 4 words written on the final page. They're still out there. The council was now divided. Some wanted peace, others wanted preparation for war. But the elder's last words before his final disappearance now made terrifying sense. They are not part of your empire. They built their own. For the first time, the council realized humanity had never been gone. They had only been silent, watching, learning, building in the shadows where no one could reach them. They had created the Silent Fleet, ships powered by dark energy folds, capable of slipping through time and light itself. And as the council debated their next move, every signal station across the galaxy received the same message at the exact same time. 4 simple words pulsing with quiet authority. We are awake now. The council chamber no longer glowed with pride or unity. The grand pillars that once shimmered with golden light now flickered with the pale hue of fear. Every empire, every delegate, every world under the council's reach had heard the same message. We are awake now. Those 4 words spread faster than any fleet could travel. Across thousands of systems, comm stations reported sudden interference. Old frequencies, long abandoned, crackled to life with human voices, speaking calmly, sometimes even playfully in dozens of languages. Still watching. Still here. We warned you once. The transmissions were faint, scattered but unmistakably human. The Valkyrie Dominion was the first to act. Their general Korvan, whose pride had started the experiment, could not bear the shame of silence. They are bluffing, he roared before the War Council. They hide behind shadows and myths. The galaxy bows to strength, not whispers. Despite pleas for restraint, the Dominion assembled a containment force. 500 warships, battle-tested and fearless. Their mission, to travel to Sol system, demand humanity's surrender and seize control of Earth as a security measure. The council chairwoman, Seraphil, protested. You do not confront the unknown with arrogance, she warned. But Korvan only laughed. Unknown? They are primitives with legends. I will return with their world beneath my fleet. The decision was made. The fleet departed, engines igniting like stars, vanishing into the void. For days, the galaxy watched. Live transmissions from the Dominion fleet streamed across the Council's networks. The soldiers were confident. They joked, they sang their war chants, and they mocked the Elders' warnings. At first, everything seemed normal. They passed through the edge of Sol space without resistance. Earth's pale blue glow appeared in the distance. Primitive world, one officer said. No orbital defenses detected. They didn't notice the silence, how every sensor felt empty, as if something was missing in the background noise of space. No static, no radiation hum. Just a perfect, suffocating quiet. Then the stars disappeared. Not all at once, one by one. The navigators shouted in panic. Gravitational distortion. Multiple unknown signatures. Korvan stood from his command chair. Identify. No one could. The scanners refused to display shapes. It was as if nothing was there. No reflection, no emission, yet something vast was moving between them. Then a low vibration echoed through every ship's hull. A voice, deep and calm, spoke through every communication channel in perfect Dominion standard. Turn back. The crew froze. The voice was human, male, old, steady, and filled with unshakable certainty. Korvan snarled. Find their source. I want that transmission silenced. Before his command could be carried out, one of the forward ships, the Iron Claw, simply vanished. Not exploded. Not destroyed. Gone as if erased. Impossible, someone shouted. They used a weapon. No, the sensor officer whispered. There's no energy signature. It's like reality folded. A second ship disappeared. Then a third. The fleet fired wildly into the dark, beams of plasma and antimatter streaking across empty space. The shots hit nothing. No explosions, no damage, only the hollow echo of their own fear. Then the shadows moved. Hundreds of shapes materialized around them. Massive ships, silent and unmarked, with hulls so black they swallowed the light itself. Only their edges shimmered faintly with blue ripples, bending the very fabric of space. Each bore the same emblem. Afi, Korvan's voice trembled. What are they? The answer came through every speaker again, quiet and final. You wanted to see us. And then the silent fleet struck. It was not a battle. It was an execution. The Valkyrie ships tried to form ranks, but their targeting systems failed. Every missile turned away mid-flight, redirected by invisible interference. Power grids overloaded. Artificial gravity twisted against them. Inside their ships, soldiers screamed as lights flickered red and alarms failed to sound. It was not destruction by fire or explosion. It was disassembly, clean, surgical, absolute. Humanity didn't just defeat them. Humanity unmade them. Within 12 minutes, the proud Dominion fleet, 500 ships strong, was gone. Only one vessel survived. A small escape pod found drifting days later by a neutral cargo ship near Council space. Inside was a single Valkyrie officer. He was shaking uncontrollably, eyes unfocused, repeating one sentence over and over again. They were already there. Behind us. inside our systems. When the council recovered the pod, the onboard recorder contained only two sounds, human breathing and a voice whispering almost gently, "We told you not to provoke us." The council erupted into chaos. Fear and blame tore through the chamber. Some demanded war. Others demanded surrender. Some wanted to contact the humans directly, while others believed it was already too late. Chairwoman Seraphil stood in the center of the uproar, trying to speak over the noise. "Enough!" she shouted. "You have seen what arrogance brings. You cannot fight what you do not understand." But one of the military delegates slammed his clawed fist against the table. "Then what are they?" The elder's voice, faint and weary, filled the hall once more, though his form did not appear. "They are what you could have been, if you had learned from your pain instead of hiding from it." The council fell silent. Seraphil lowered her head. "Then what do we do now?" The elder's voice faded as he gave his answer. "Pray they do not see you as the next lesson." That night across the galaxy, stars flickered. Not from natural causes, but because something vast and unseen moved between them. Merchant ships reported sensor ghosts, massive objects gliding past at impossible speeds. On one remote colony, a young child looked up at the night sky and asked her mother why the stars seemed dimmer. The mother smiled weakly, hiding her fear. "Maybe clouds," she whispered, but there were no clouds in space. On Earth, far below, humanity watched in silence. The leaders of the silent fleet stood aboard their flagship, the Resolution, orbiting far beyond the moon. Their admiral, an old man with gray eyes and a voice that carried the weight of centuries, turned to his officers. "They will not understand," he said softly, "but they will remember." He looked out the viewport toward the stars, where the faint glow of the destroyed Dominion fleet had already faded. "Send the message," he ordered. A single broadcast spread through the galaxy, carrying in every language on every channel. "Humanity seeks no war, but we will not kneel." And then once more the stars went quiet. The council chamber was hollow now, its once glorious light dimmed to a sickly blue. The banners of unity hung in silence. No laughter, no debate. Only fear whispered between the delegates. The galaxy had changed, and everyone could feel it. In every corner of known space, the message still echoed through the commnet. "Humanity seeks no war, but we will not kneel." Those words broke empires faster than any weapon could. The Valkyrie Dominion's pride was shattered. Their fleets scattered in shame. Whole systems that had once mocked humanity now sent envoys to Earth, pleading for peace, begging forgiveness. But Earth never answered. Every probe sent toward Sol vanished. Every signal returned with the same haunting pattern, a slow pulse like a heartbeat followed by silence. It wasn't aggression. It was something worse. It was patience. Weeks passed. Then months. The council tried to rebuild its confidence, but the galaxy no longer listened to them. Trade routes grew empty. Border patrols refused orders. Even the strongest fleets now trembled at shadows, for the silent fleet could appear anywhere, and no one ever saw them arrive. Chairwoman Seraphil sat alone in her quarters, staring at the stars beyond the dome. "They're out there," she whispered, "and they are waiting for something." Her aide hesitated before speaking. "Madam, the elder has returned." Seraphil froze. "Bring him to me." Moments later, the chamber darkened and the familiar shimmer of blue light filled the air. The elder's form appeared weaker now, his glow softer, his face lined with sorrow. Yet his presence still carried a gravity that bent silence around him. "Elder," Seraphil said quietly, "it has happened as you warned. The council provoked them. The Dominion is gone. Countless lives lost. Why did you not stop it?" The elder's pale eyes met hers. "Would you have listened?" he asked softly. She said nothing. "They needed to remember," he continued. "And you needed to understand." "Understand what?" Seraphil asked. The elder turned his gaze to the stars above. That humanity was never gone. They simply walked where no one else dared to go. A low tremor shook the floor. The lights flickered. Every delegate turned toward the high windows as the stars outside began to fade, one by one swallowed by a vast shadow. "Report," someone shouted. A technician's voice cracked through the comms. "Madam Chairwoman, multiple unidentified signatures entering high orbit, hundreds of them." No warp trails, no energy output. They just appeared. The elder closed his eyes. They have come. The shadow passed over the council world. The night sky turned silver blue as enormous vessels emerged, silent, smooth, and impossible to measure. The silent fleet had arrived, stretching across the atmosphere like a living storm. Each ship carried the same emblem, HFY. One descended slowly, positioning itself above the council capital. It made no sound, no display of power, just presence, quiet and absolute. The council scrambled to prepare a response, but all communications failed. Every channel played the same deep rhythmic tone, a human heartbeat. Then a voice, calm and unmistakably human, filled every hall, every speaker, every mind. Council of the Galaxy. We come not as conquerors, but as witnesses. The hall fell silent. Seraphil stood frozen, her heart pounding. Identify yourself, she whispered. I am Admiral Elias Ward, the voice replied, representative of Earth and her colonies. You sought to contain us. You sent fleets into our skies. You threatened what you did not understand. There was a pause. And yet, we offer no war. A beam of light shone into the council chamber. It wasn't an attack, just a soft column, warm and golden. From it emerged a man. A human. He wore no armor, no weapon, only a dark uniform bearing the insignia of the silent fleet. His eyes were steady, but heavy with centuries of burden. Every alien in the hall recoiled. Never before had they seen a human in person, only in old archives or propaganda. Yet he stood there, flesh and blood, as if he belonged among gods. The elder bowed his head to him. Admiral, he said, his tone reverent. You have returned. The human inclined his head respectfully. We never left, he replied. He turned toward the council. You feared us because you forgot what we endured. We are not monsters. We are survivors. Every empire that mocked us, every world that called us savage, all of them were right. We are savage, but we are also the reason this galaxy still lives. His words carried no threat, only truth. When the void storms came, the Admiral continued, when the old civilizations vanished, it was humanity who stayed behind to fight what you could not see. We fought in the dark, in the silence between stars where no council dared to go. We held the line, alone. He stepped closer. And when peace returned, you erased us from your history. The council members looked down, ashamed. Seraphil found her voice. Why return now? The Admiral's gaze softened. Because the Elder asked us to. Because arrogance has returned, and because the galaxy must remember humility before it destroys itself again. The Elder moved beside him, his energy flickering like dying fire. My time ends, he said quietly. I was created to warn, not to rule. The galaxy must choose now, fear humanity or learn from them. Seraphil slowly knelt, followed by the others. We do not seek war, she said. Teach us, Admiral. Teach us what we forgot. The Admiral studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded once. Then listen well. Strength is not in domination. It is in endurance. You built a council of control. We built one of survival. He looked toward the stars where his fleet waited. And survival always wins. The Elder turned to the Admiral one last time. You have done what I could not, he whispered. You have shown them the truth. The human placed a hand over his heart. And you showed us mercy, old friend. The Elder smiled faintly, his form glowing brighter until it became a beam of light. His voice lingered one final time. The most dangerous thing in the galaxy is a species that remembers pain and chooses not to forget. Then the light faded. Outside, the silent fleet began to rise, slipping quietly into the void. The Admiral looked back once more and spoke a single phrase that would echo for generations. Do not provoke humanity again. You may not survive the lesson twice, and with that, the fleet vanished into the dark between stars, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed, and a council that finally understood what the Elder had meant all along. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. They simply reminded it why they were never to be challenged.